This Barbarian build does absolutely everything. It speed farms tier 100, one-shots everything in the game, and it feels just so damn good to play. If you don't trust me, then ask Arnie.
I'm getting the feeling of coming, I'm getting the feeling of coming at home, I'm getting the feeling of coming, so I'm coming day and night.
Previously on this channel, we have covered some insane hota builds as well as charge builds. They all had their ups and downs, so in this build, we will be combining the best from all of them to make the ultimate build. Oh, and did I also mention that this build requires no uber uniques? Because it doesn't. I simply wanted a build that could one-shot everything using both hota and charge, one that had unlimited mobility and while at the same time being absolutely unkillable. And finally, after long and intense days of theory crafting, I came up with this build, and here you have it, the shit-smelling Barbarian build 2.0. So how does the build work? Well, I'm glad you ask. It stacks overpower like any other build, and it combines uniques from both charge and hota builds to grant us as many overpowers as possible. It also makes sure that charge is on 0 cooldown, making us able to constantly spam charge as we kill normal and elite mobs in nightmare dungeons. Whenever we fight bosses, we have our Hammer of the Ancients to absolutely one-shot any boss in the game. And whenever we are farming Durials, all we need to do is swap one skill and we will one-shot the boss every goddamn time in a 4-man party. And lastly, to become a goddamn tank, we have incorporated Iron Skin into this build. Yeah, I think you're sold on this build by now. Let's check out the gear and aspects so that you can use this amazing build as well. Firstly, there's one stat that need to be prioritized. Since hota gets multiplicative damage from maximum fury, we want as much of it as possible. For the helmet, we have 3 options. If you have Shaco, then you should use that, but it's absolutely not necessary. For farming tier 100, you can use the Tusk Helm of Joritz. It has maximum fury on it, as well as more damage from the passive. This helmet is absolutely bonkers, so get it, damn it. If you simply want to get as big one-shots as possible, then Godslayer Crown is a great option. All 3 of these helmets drop from this fat fuck, so any of his helmet drops should make you happy. Now for hiding your knockers, make sure to grab a chest. You want the same chest as I have, only with higher rolls. To become a goddamn gigatank, imprint the Juggernaut aspect. It should cap out our armor. For the gloves, grab the same stats as on my gloves. For the aspect, however, there will be 2 options. If you prefer to spam hota rather than charge, then you should grab the conceited aspect. We will have near permanent uptime on Iron Skin in this build, which makes this aspect insanely good. If you like to spam charge as well, however, then you should grab Limitless Rage. By spamming charge, we will always be at maximum fury whenever we press our hota ability, making this aspect great. For the pants, you need to get Tibault's Will, as it is one of our main ways to get resources. By spamming charge and having resource generation, it will grant us a ton of fury. To be fast as fuck, boy, grab boots with high movement speed. Grab some shitty resistances as well, and smack on a Ghostwalker aspect for ultimate speed. On all your weapons, you want to prioritize a few stats as they are superior, just as Paragaming is superior to any other content creator. Right? Right? Yeah. Show your boy some love. Anyhow, these stats are all stats, strength, overpower, and damage while berserking. For the Big Daddy Hammer, imprint Earth Striker aspect as it has the highest multiplicative scaling. Hammer is also where your hota weapon arsenal will be. Not like you have any other choice, Lamau. For the dual-wield weapons, you want one-handed hammers with aspect of Ancestral Force and Ancestral Charge. The Ancestral Force aspect is mandatory to make your hammers large, and the Ancestral Charge aspect makes it a hecking ton easier to hit your charge. It is also extremely important that you set your charge to be using dual-wield weapons. You'll see why soon. For the slashing weapon, you want a two-handed sword. I'm rocking the Granddaddy, but it's not at all mandatory. You should also imprint the aspect that you're not using on your gloves then, either Limitless Rage or Conceited Aspect. And while talking about weapons, the weapon expertise to use here is two-handed axe expertise. All right, let's take a look at the jewelry now. For amulet, you want the Banished Lord's Talisman. Not only does this give us a ton of overpower, but also a shit ton of damage. For rings, you want Ring of Red Fura and Ring of the Ravenous. Ring of Red Fura is a must to grant us unlimited crits, as well as making sure that we crit each time we one-shot bosses. Ring of the Ravenous is used to lower the cooldown on charge via the extra brawling skills, and also grants us tons of overpowers as we charge via Earthstriker's aspect. Well, shit, son, that's all the gear and aspects. Before we continue, however, let's see why charge needs to be on the dual wielders in this build. Whenever you hit an enemy with charge using Ring of the Ravenous, you always end up with the slashing weapon and gain an extra weapon swap for the Earthstriker's aspect. And the hammer is always a hammer, so by setting charge to dual wield, you will always have 3 different weapons to swap between for the Earthstriker procs, making sure that you're never using the same weapon type twice. Pretty neat, huh? Damn right. Now we're gonna see what our pet cuck friend is up to. Come here, you piece of shit, and let me pet you.
Greetings.
Good boy. My first governing stone is Tempest. I'm using this since it has the fastest attack speed. When combined with swift support, the skill is even faster. So what's all this good for then? Well, my dear friend, it's because we're using resource support. Whenever our pet spams his Tempest ability, we gain 20 resources. The faster we get our resources, the better. I'm also using Safeguard for an easy 15% damage reduction. If you have the Genesis Stone, then you can go fuck yourself and put Evernight here instead. For the other governing stone, I'm using Flash of Adrenaline for the extra damage, along with duration and tactical support to make it permanent. Since I don't have the Genesis Stone, I'm using Evernight here, but I'd much rather it went on the other side, El Mao. Can't catch them all, I guess. Well, finally we're done playing with the stones, so let's check out my amazing skill tree now. The basic skill tree can eat a dick. Instead, we're going to max out our hota and grab Furious Hota for the insane multiplicative damage. We then head on over to the defensive skills. We don't want any defensives, though, since we're no soy boys. Ha! Got you there. We obviously are, so we grab Imposing Presence. We then want Rallying Cry, along with Enhanced and Strategic Rallying Cry. This is our main source of Fortify in this build, so it's extremely important. Not like you give a shit, though, huh? You just want to make big damn. For ultimate defensiveness, I'm using Iron Skin. This skill is shit in itself, but with enhanced Iron Skin, the barrier granted is huge. I'm also using Tactical Iron Skin for a ton of self-healing. For more big dick damage, we want Warcry, as well as Enhanced and Power Warcry. We also max out Charge along with Enhanced and Power Charge. Power Charge makes it so that we can constantly keep resetting charge. So it's damn important. We also want all of these passives, where Battle Fervor is the most important since it's our main source of berserking in this build. In the Weapon Mastery skills, we just grab a few passives for more damage and defensives. We then head on over to the ultimates and grab these passives for more damage. After that, we grab Invigorating Fury for a ton of self-healing and finish with Wrath of the Berserk. And lastly, the key passive. Our Hota Overpowers requires us to spend a lot of fury, so Unbridled Rage is the way to go here. Now, my friends, it's time to check out my maxed out and perfected Paragon Board. It doesn't get much better than this, folks, so hold on tight. In the starting board, we want the Exploit Glyph, as this will be our only way to get enemies vulnerable. In my board here, I'm also using these nodes. I would like to swap to the nodes on the other side, but since the only way to do that I'm forced to respect my entire Paragon board, I'm not going to go through that hell. Next, we go to the Bonebreaker board, grab the legendary node, and then socket the martial glyph. This glyph will help us reset both our charge and wrath of the Berserker. After that, we go to the Warbringer board. Here, we want Dominate glyph for the increased overpower damage. We also have a bunch of maximum fury nodes here that we need to grant our hota as much damage as possible. In the Blood Rage board, we want to get the legendary node here. It helps us get berserking and also gives damage while berserking a multiplicative bonus. This is also the reason that we're socketing Ire here and grabbing as much strength as possible to boost it. After that, we go all the way over to the Carnage board. Here we want the Crusher glyph for the 30% multiplicative damage, and lastly, we have the Decimator board where we grab the legendary node. Well, goddamn son, that's the Paragon board. Good job. We're almost done now. I'm just going to teach you how to get good first. I'll show you how to game in a tier 100 as well as how you one-shot bosses every time. Clearing tier 100 with this build is stupid easy. Spam charge whenever you're moving and use hota to one-shot elites or bosses. You also want to use Wrath of the Berserker and Iron Skin as much as possible and shouts whenever they're up to reset your cooldowns. Pretty damn easy, huh? Yeah. Now let's take a look at the one-shot Wombo combo. The first thing you're going to do is take this god-awful shit spell and grab it onto your bars instead of charge. You then make sure you have 8 stacks of Earthstriker aspect, pop Wrath of the Berserker, and start spinning. Whenever you hear the Wrath of the Berserker sound 3 times, you use your war cry, rallying cry, and one-shot that bitch with a hammer swing. Well, friends, that's all for this guide. Show some love by subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.